Hello, and it's so great to see all of you. I want to say first and foremost, thank you for being a part of this panel discussion, which is Breaking Barriers and Empowering Women in STEAM. So, hello, how are you guys?
Good. How
Good.
are
Very
you?
good.
I'm good, thank you. I just want to say that it's so important that we hear your journey so that we can inspire other girls that they can too walk in the same steps that you did or similar, right? So before I start, can I ask you all to introduce yourselves one by one and let us know what it is that you do?
Okay, I guess I can go first. I actually just recently graduated from university, Toronto Metropolitan University. Yeah, just a fresh graduate. And I studied computer engineering. And yeah, that's it.
Nice to meet you.
I can go next then. I'm Mahnoor and I studied computer engineering at University of Ottawa. I have been working now as a software engineer for I think 3 years. And yeah, loving every day of it. So yeah,
That is so awesome. A pleasure to meet you as well.
thank you. You too.
Hey, and then me, hi, I'm Isha. I also studied computer engineering at Toronto Metropolitan University. I am currently working. I've been working for less than a year because I graduated last year. Um, I'm working as a software developer, and yeah, that's a bit about me.
So this is so wonderful. This is amazing to meet three sisters who graduated in the same field. So if you can share your personal journey of how you became interested in engineering and what are some of those challenges that you faced, especially as a woman that is in these male-dominated fields. And we could start with Manure on that one.
All right. Okay. So for me, it started in school, I guess. It was in elementary school. I think we first had like our robotics team. This was back when like computers had, the giant back behind them. So
Yeah.
and when Mac computers were actually called Macintoshes. So they finally introduced like a robotics program, and I was like, okay, let's go see what that's about. And that was like a little club. And I think only a few students joined because nobody really knew what it was about. So it started with that, and then in high school, I our high school happened to be a Schism high school, which is a specialized high schools major thing. And so in that, they focused on math and science. And I always sort of liked math and science. So I was pretty interested in going to that high school. In there, they also taught computer engineering, computer networking, and um, coding, right?
Mhm.
So and I took all of them, and that was kind of another way that I was pushed towards it. And then also actually in middle school too, I had joined robotics as well because as a continuation from elementary school. And that was one of the best experiences I ever had. That's actually why in high school I was so interested in it. Um, so yeah, that was great. But at that time, I was really only interested in computer engineering, because I thought that was fun to do, like the little robotic stuff. Um, and then I was like, okay, let's continue with that. So I was not really interested in coding at all.
Mhm.
But it was actually in university, which is where I discovered that I actually really, really enjoyed coding. It was one of my friends who, taught me how to code well. And then after that, it sort of just stuck with me, and I really enjoyed solving problems. And to this day, I love solving problems. Like I love working on intricate little things and figuring out like a very unique solution for them. It's very exciting for me. But yeah, that's sort of how it happened. And then along the way, me and my sisters have always been part of arts programs and things, which I think they'll talk about more. So yeah, that was sort of how it happened for me.
That's so amazing. So it sounds like there were so many different access points for you that was like piqued your interest to all the way till you got to university. So while
Yeah.
you're doing that, first of all, you almost gave away your age by Macintosh. Only a few people
Yes,
probably know that.
I
So
know.
they're gonna Google and be like, "What? Mac was from Macintosh?"
It's
Which
okay. I'm not that old. It was at the end of the era.
so, but even back then, with those big computers, were there a lot of girls that were interested like you were, or did you find yourself as just one of a few?
I did find that I was one of the few. It was always whenever these programs were there, they were always offered to boys first, actually. You really had to push yourself and be like, "No, I really wanna do this. Can I please join this club? Like, please let me into." And I was always very pushy, so I actively reached out to the teachers and whoever was, making up those programs to also let me be a part of it. And you know what? Like, the thing is, if you ask for something,
Mhm,
almost always it's a yes. And very rarely it's a no, especially for things that are like, and like, something that's open to everyone and anyone can join. I feel like people don't say no, it's just they don't think about offering it to you because they just assume that you're not interested or something. So
mhm.
yeah, it mostly came down to like, please, can I do this?
That's
And yeah.
That's so good. That's so good to know. But so what would you tell girls today? Because there's a few, I'm sure there's so many girls that are afraid to even put up their hand and say, "Can I do this too?" What would you say to them?
Yes. I think a lot of that fear stems from, at least for me, a lot of that fear stemmed from like, oh, I think these people know what they're doing better than I do, and so
Mhm,
I shouldn't even bother to try because there's no point. I'll never be as good. And I think that's a wrong mindset to have. After like being a part of so many programs of all different kinds, not just like tech programs, even art programs and everything else, there's always going to be someone who's better than you. That shouldn't stop you from doing anything. And also like if you don't try, like the main point of it is don't give up on yourself first,
mhm,
right? You should
mhm.
always keep pushing yourself to your best abilities. And if someone else says no, that's a different story, right? But why are you saying no to yourself? So yeah, that's my advice to people. Don't say no to yourself.
That is awesome. Thank you so much. I'm going to switch it over to Isha. So, Isha, you're the second one. So, you followed after Manure. So,
Yeah.
if you could share your personal journey of how you became interested in engineering, was it because you saw your big sister?
See, a lot of people would say that. I like to argue it wasn't because of her. I wasn't like I always was interested in this kind of stuff too. Like I feel like me and her, we like because we grew up together, we were always interested together
Mhm,
in this kind of stuff. And like a big part of our like journey into engineering and just like even being part of our like being involved in tech and all that, it was because of the way grew up. Our parents always like pushed us to explore different fields and like growing up we did so many different things. We tried art programs, like sports, like swimming and skating, and we did a bit of like tech stuff like being in robotics. And so like our parents always pushed us to do everything before we decided what we would want to do with our life. um and yeah, I think it was through trying that and like just being able to do it with my sister too. We got to like it's kind of cool when you get to bounce ideas off of each other, off of someone that's so similar and like they're into all the things you're into too. So yeah, I think that did play a big part of it, just like having someone else there.
mhm.
But also just the way we grew up. Like our parents were such a big influence because they made sure we were exposed to all different sorts of stuff.
That's
So
amazing. So
yeah.
it sounds though like your parents decided, regardless if you were a girl or a boy, you're going to have the same opportunities.
Yeah,
Yeah,
our parents definitely did not like care about like like they didn't care about that aspect. They made sure we were open to all sorts of things.
that's so nice. Thanks for sharing. Iman, so what about you? So now you've seen your two sisters, take on this journey. And also
Mhm.
you got to try all different kind of things to find out where you landed, where you're gonna land.
Mhm.
So you're about to graduate. So congratulations. You're about to
Thank you.
enter the workforce like they are. How was the
Mhm.
journey for you?
Yeah, so I feel like, yes, my interest in engineering definitely began when I saw my sisters were pursuing it. Just because like growing up, I would always get to see like the cool technologies and games that they would program through code for like their school courses, and I was just kind of like so amazed by like how much you could do with technology. And yeah, they're honestly like such a huge inspiration for me. And also, fun fact, I also did join my school's robotics team as well, just like they did.
Oh,
So yes, they're a really huge inspiration. And I guess like being one of the few girls in my engineering classes was definitely kind of like challenging. Um, like having the lack of female representation made it a lot more difficult to kind of like find people who shared similar experiences.
mhm.
But there were also a lot of support groups at my university, like the Women in Engineering student group, which like being a part of that definitely helped throughout like my whole university career, I guess. Yeah.
Okay, so nice to share. So you must be so excited, just
Yeah.
about to graduate. And so how's that feeling for you? What are you hoping, what's going to be next for you?
Um, honestly, probably finding a job, and also like just continuing to like be involved in the community. Because I was involved in the Women in Engineering student group, so I'm hoping to find like other organizations that I can be involved in where I can continue to do something like that.
Very nice. Manur, how did arts and education, because I heard you mention about arts as well. So how did arts and education influence your decision to pursue a career in STEAM?
For sure. Okay, so arts has always been like my most favorite thing. When I was a kid, loved drawing. Like that was my main activity. Um, I think in terms of a career, it did I always knew that I wanted to go into engineering, but I also knew I always loved art as well. So the two are kind of they're not exactly connected in my career journey per se, but the way I was able to connect them was through our collective that we came up with. It was one day we were bored, it was the pandemic, and we were like, hey, you know what would be fun if there was something we could do that involved art and tech. And the thing is, like, we've always been attending community programs since for as long as I can remember. And so I know that eventually at some point in my career I do want to have an inclusion of both, even though right now they're a little bit separate. But yeah, so with our collective we were able to sort of join both, and then that way we were also able to introduce it to other women or girls in the community, which I also am a big advocate of. I love telling or hoping that other girls will also join in on like in the tech world.
Mhm.
Uh yeah, because we need more of that. So yeah, that's kind of how it happened for me. It's not exactly through my career, but more so sort of through my side activities.
Oh, nice, nice. And so this collective that you guys came up with, exploring both art and technology, can you tell us a little bit more about that?
For sure. So, our collective is called the Makers Collective. We are in the GTA, so Scarborough actually. Actually, that's not GTA, is it? I think that's just Toronto.
So for those
Um,
who don't know, because our audience is wide, it's and North America, probably even global as well. So for those that don't know, GTA is the Greater Toronto area, and I believe Scarborough is a part of that, and that's in Ontario, Canada. Go ahead.
Okay, perfect. So yes, we're located in Toronto, and we host activities for girls that are art-based and technology-based. So a few that we've done so far is I think the very first one we did was art journaling one. And that was through the pandemic because I think a lot of people's moods were down, and so we thought journaling is kind of a nice way to boost that. We've done zine making where we what do you call it? We make little linographs. So we did that. And then we also did we've done pottery, and in pottery we had a technical component, so we wanted everyone to make their own website, so that they could showcase all of their work. And then one of our most recent ones was a STEAM one, which actually we also called Full Steam Ahead. And in that one, it was we took Arduino components and we built little things with them. So everything was for an exhibition. That was like the basis of all the work. And so everyone had to make things that they wanted to showcase that involved some sort of circuitry along with art. So that was that kind of combination. We sort of just pick whatever we're interested in at the time and then hope that other people will also be interested in it. And so that's kind of how we choose our programming. But yeah,
Oh, that sounds so fun. So I'm sure it was well received by the girls in that was participating in your program.
yes, very much so. So because we're pretty small and there's only so many people we can let in, we always get asked if people can join the next time. And so we have like a huge waiting list of people who want to join the programs. It's kind of crazy sometimes. It's very chaotic.
Wow, that sounds so much fun. So would you say that with your art, was education a part of that? Did you guys have like an art teacher that was encouraging, or even like when it came to the engineering, how was your education influenced for your career?
For education, we did bring in a lot of instructors throughout. So, for yeah, for all of the art stuff, we usually bring in an instructor. It's great because you learn things that you don't know, and I like that. I always like growing in my skills, so and I hope other people found that as well. So yeah, definitely brought in arts instructors for that. For the engineering portions of it, actually mostly I taught it, and that was because I wanted to push myself. Um, when I like in my current day job, I'm actually a mobile developer. So
Mm.
I don't get to do things that involve the web and things like that, but I love learning. So I wanted to take on that myself and expand my own skill set and then hopefully teach that to others. So I usually try to take on the engineering portions. Me and my sister, sometimes they help too. Of course, can't take it all the credit.
Can't take all the credit, gotta share it. I understand that part. And so now for your education, did you have any personal teachers that kind of helped guided you on your journey?
Yes, I did. I actually had multiple mentors throughout. The very first one being the person who introduced us to community programming. She is and was like a great role model the whole time. She showed us how to run community programs and why we should run them and why we should, constantly be advocating for our community. So that was very important. And then throughout, actually, like there have been so many mentors throughout. It's hard to pinpoint them all because then after we started community programming, we got introduced to even more people, and with that, you learn so many things and you build so many connections. And then those people start telling you how they work, and then you pick up on those skills, and then you continue building. It's a very like agile process almost.
Mm-hmm. Nice, thank you. Isha, what about you? Did you have any educators that kind of helped guide your way into where you are right now in your career?
I would say, yeah, like I think a big part of why I enjoy engineering so much is just because of like all the people I see that are really like all the people I admire also have been in this field, and so it's kind of cool. Like so one person in particular was my engineering I took an engineering course in high school, computer engineering. And so my teacher for that course, she was honestly amazing. Minner also had like she was also like she knew the teacher too, so she can vouch for her. But this teacher was so awesome and everyone loved her. Everyone wanted to be her, and just like seeing her like excel in the field and like see like how she taught and the way she like just carried herself and was around students, like she was super awesome. And so I remember when I saw that, I was like, damn, I want to be her. And so yeah, it really made me want to like pursue more in computer engineering. And like I kept taking the course because I took that course in like 10th grade. So I took it like every year after that too in high school. And then I decided to do computer engineering in university too. And like, yeah, I think just seeing that, like having that model and person that I admire so much, it really did make me want to like pursue this more and help me like want to further my education.
Oh, that's amazing. That's amazing to see another female in a position so that you could kind of see yourself and saying that I want to
Yeah,
be like her. So,
yeah.
what was it? Was it her personality? Was it because she was patient and kind? And was it also like including her knowledge? What was it you think um that was so exciting about her that also influenced you and other students and your sister?
I'd say like her personality was very fun, and also just the fact that like whenever you talk to her, she was very knowledgeable. So it was always like she knew everything, and like you just wanted to know everything too. Like if you went to her, because a lot of computer engineering in that course, it was finding like creative solutions to different problems, and like you would go to her and she would just know the answer right away, while everyone else would be like struggling, trying to like think what's the best way to approach this problem.
Mhm.
So just knowing how knowledgeable she was really cool, and like being able to kind of like share ideas with her.
No
I
problem.
actually had this teacher too. Well,
Yeah.
she wasn't my teacher, but she like I knew her and she knew me because we were like, I mean, there's only so many engineering classes and also there's only so many girls in engineering, right? And she always pulled me aside and was like, "Are you doing okay? Do you need help? Like if you want, I can help you. If you're like missing any concepts." And because she's like, sometimes I know it's hard to stand up in a group of like all boys and be like, "Actually, I don't know what's happening." So
Mm.
she always offered to support like afterwards. It was amazing. She was a great and she had the ultimate sass. She always knew what to say to anyone who was like like not in line. She's like, come back. Yeah, it was
Oh yeah,
amazing.
it was really fun because that class, it was actually like that was a class where it was all guys and you would be the only girl. There was probably like two girls in my class, like me and someone else, and she'd always be like on your side. Like if anything went wrong, she'd be like, "You're fine, but what did the other guys do?" It was fun.
What about you, Iman? Was there any, an educator that helped guide your journey or influenced you?
Honestly, like I feel like I didn't have any teachers like how my sisters did, but I guess like one of the mentors that we had when it came to like founding our collective, they really recognized our shared passion for art, community engagement, and technology, and they were the ones that really encouraged us to start this collective. And so yeah, I really appreciate like their encouragement and support throughout our entire process for starting this collective, and we still talk to them, and we go to them for like any advice for that collective. So yeah, they're our biggest inspiration, I guess, or one of our biggest.
That's amazing. So, any of you can answer, or all three, but what guidance would you offer educators to support young women that are contemplating a career in STEAM? And this could be for male or female educators. What advice would you tell them?
I would tell them to definitely like offer more mentorship opportunities. So like providing opportunities for women to connect with like female professionals in STEAM
Mhm.
through like mentorship programs. And I say this because like when I was involved in the um, Toronto Metropolitan University Women in Engineering program, I was the mentorship director. So I was in charge of like creating the mentorship program and building its foundations. And I really did notice like how impactful it was, just because we had like the third and fourth year students mentoring the first and second year students.
Great.
And I could see like the first and second year students definitely appreciated it. And we also had like a lot of people signing up for it, like over 60 mentees and mentors this year. So the mentorship program is always growing, and I know that it's needed, because I also had a lot of like female mentors like my sisters, but I know like other people don't have that. So definitely like offer more mentorship opportunities, and like maybe create opportunities for like experiential learning.
Mhm.
So like kind of like what we do with our collective, like we're allowing young women to explore their interests in STEAM subjects. So like engaging them in these kinds of activities really like helps them to foster their like creativity and also like their problem solving skills.
Thank you. Yes, nice. And did any part of your education, did you guys take any arts in education? Was that more just a hobby? Like, do you take any art classes or anything like that?
We did like in like grade 9 or 10 or something, like we took an art course, but mostly we've been involved in like art programs since childhood.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
but I've been taking art classes on the side, like in community art classes. I've been taking them for quite a long time. I still take them. I still go to pottery and sewing classes. So it's pretty constant.
Wow, that is so amazing. I myself, I love art. I love art. I love to paint in acrylic, and I like to dabble in different things that I haven't done before. Sometimes my painting looks like, I was grade 4, but that's to be decided. Um, but can any of you can share a personal anecdote where your background in the arts and your education kind of impacted your work as a career, as an engineer, sorry. So background, if any anecdotes where your background in the arts or education positively impacted your work.
Okay, I think I can go with something.
Hmm.
So having an education and arts background is actually quite important for engineers too, right? So for example, right now I do mobile development. And in mobile development, there is a visual component aspect to it, right? It's what you touch and the buttons you click and everything. It's important to have like some kind of design experience so you can call out when things don't look right, right? Like,
Mhm.
I know it's not an engineer's job necessarily to come up with a design, but it is an engineer's job to make sure that the user experience is good. And it's also an engineer's job to make sure that, for the public, it's the best possible experience, right? For us, it's all about the public's experience. And
Mhm.
they drill that in you in engineering class too. So protect the public, protect the public. That's all they say,
Mhm.
right? So it's your job to advocate for the user. Whereas a designer's job is mostly to make a beautiful site or app or whatever. So when it comes to things like that, when you have some kind of design background, I think, or some kind of artistic background, it helps you advocate for what you think is correct because you have something to back you up. You can say, oh, we could alternate to this other thing instead because this would be better for user experience, but also it doesn't conflict with design. So things like that, it is useful. Obviously, like having multiple diverse perspectives in a job is much better than having a singular perspective. That's the same thing as saying like, oh, a field shouldn't be just full of one gender, or there should be multiple experiences, not just women, but also queer people, just any type of like spectrum, right? It should be very diverse,
Mhm.
because though everyone has different kinds of experiences that they bring in, and that changes how um a flow or something like that should work. Yeah, everyone's needs are different, and it's good to try to accommodate for as many as we can.
You actually answered that question and went into the next one, which was great, which was how do you believe diversity, particularly gender diversity, contributes to innovation and problem solving within STEAM? So I really liked how you made that segue into that. Um, Isha, what is your thoughts on that? How do you believe diversity and gender diversity contribute to innovation and problem solving?
Um, I think that like having a diverse like group of people in STEAM and in the industry is really important because it helps bring different perspectives
Mhm.
to like problems. Um, like everyone thinks differently and we're all going through different experiences. So just like having a more diverse like background and like a bigger like collection of experiences to like look through is way more valuable to the industry. Um, yeah. That's what I would say.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. So, why do you think, in your opinion, why aren't more women pursuing careers in STEAM? And what do you think some steps that we can take to encourage them to explore this?
I would say it's probably because there's a lot of stigma around like tech and STEAM, where it's a male dominated industry. And so we just need to break that like idea and encourage females to participate in STEAM and let them know that there are other like female leaders in the industry that they can like look into and look to as role models. Like I think that's like what inspired me too, was just having a female role model. So just being able to help others look for another female role model would be like would help them a lot.
Sure. So, Iman, you said that you didn't have much women role models in your journey for education. So, how do you think, for all you sisters, how do you support each other throughout your educational and professional journey?
Um, yeah, so I feel like my sisters, I come to them for advice for anything. In our professional lives, we're kind of like mentors for each other. Like we offer advice and guidance to each other. It could be about like discussing career opportunities or even like, I guess, getting feedback on like projects that we're working on, either school projects or even like our own personal projects.
Mhm.
Um, we're also just like always like celebrating each other's achievements. So yeah, we've kind of just been each other's biggest supporters. And we like together we're always like pursuing our passions, achieving our goals, and then we just know that we have each other's backs like in every step of the way. Yeah.
So, do you guys ever have any
Wait,
like
I want
friendly competition? Oh, sorry, somebody wants to say something.
Oh no, I just wanted to add on to that what Iman said. Like, I think what's really cool too is we've been exploring different areas of tech too. Like Mahnoor's done mobile development. I'm doing more like back end DevOps work. Iman is still figuring it out, but like she's done co-op, so she's done like back end work
Automation.
too, or like yeah, okay, automation. So I think it's cool that we all have different like experiences and we can like share that with each other and like
Mhm.
yeah,
Mhm.
it's kind of cool to discover other areas of tech too.
That's awesome. So, you got three sisters. You guys are close in age. Do you guys ever have any friendly competition? Or, I'm better at this than you are? Or are you guys all just beautiful? Sound of music.
No, there's definitely some friendly competition. I think so. But not in terms of like career or anything, because obviously we're all on different sort of career paths, but it's just sort of like when it comes down to who's more knowledgeable, I think that's where that's where the argument comes in. Because everyone sort of thinks that they are. So then it turns into a whole like always at the dinner table we're always like, and then oh well, do you know about this thing, and do you know about this thing, and then it turns into, and then my brother's just there like he's also he's very new to it, like I think he's in his first year, but also just in terms of general experience he has less than us, and so he's always just listening to us yapping and being like, "Oh, what are they going on about today?"
Okay, we gotta pause because I thought it was just three sisters. So you have a brother too?
We
Is that?
have a
Yeah.
brother.
Oh my gosh. So he's the youngest?
He's the youngest.
Yes.
Oh, great. So he has three female role models to
Yes.
help steer his journey. So what about
Yeah.
is he interested in STEAM as well, or does he look like he's going to be doing something completely different?
No, he's also in computer engineering. We all kind of did the same thing, which is not a bad thing. Maybe one day we'll start a company, who knows?
There you go. There you go. That is really awesome. That's great to hear. Let me see here. So, how do you think, organizations and educational institutions can better support and encourage women to thrive in STEAM? We talked about, mentorship or having a mentorship program, and
Yes.
that could be from a school, teacher level, but as an organization, or what can educational institutions like schools, what can they do better to encourage women to pursue STEAM?
I think it's mostly just trying to create opportunities, right?
Mhm.
So maybe increase the amount of STEAM programming for sure. Like especially like after school experiences, I think that's where like when it's part of the curriculum, that's great and it should be a part of the curriculum. But when it comes to like after school experiences, I think that's where people do most of their learning because that's a thing that you're forcing yourself into. And if it's with a team, especially you don't want to let the team down. So you really push yourselves. That's why like robotics was like a big thing for me was because like that was self-driven.
Hmm.
So I think a lot of things that are self-driven tend to be the things that like come out at the top, right? So trying to create a lot of those kinds of opportunities where people can have like sort of more hands-on experiences, I think would be the way to go. Like there is benefit to having knowledge about things, but there's also like that alternate where when you actually do something, that's
Hmm.
where it's like really exciting. Actually, I had a course that I took, I think it was called engineering design. And in that course, like we were told to build popsicle stick bridges and we had to do multiple iterations of it, right? And then it turned into this competition at the end. Like it wasn't a competition from the start, but it turned into one where they were like, okay, like let's add weights to it and figure out whose bridge is the best. And then we also had another one where we had to I think we were studying magnetic levitation, so we were asked to create our own maglev machine. And that also turned into a competition because like, oh, whose is the fastest? And then that forces you to be like, okay, let me put on my thinking cap. How do I reduce seconds off of this machine? And then it comes down to, okay, let me do the math. Like, oh, if I decrease the weight, maybe it'll go faster, right? It's
Hmm.
just little things like that where you kind of just push it over. And these weren't things that were part, like these competitions weren't ever part of the curriculum as far as I know. It was always like my teacher was like, "Oh, these people are very competitive. Let's turn this into a thing where we can like, continue pushing." And I found that's where we were the most engaged. Whereas like learning from a textbook is like a little bit boring and sometimes you can forget, right? So,
Yeah. So giving the competition gives an opportunity to be innovative and problem
exactly.
solve, that critical thinking. That is,
Yeah, it uses so many like skills
yes.
and then it helps you retain that information as well.
Nice. So you also mentioned, I'm going to go back to your Macintosh days, sorry, but back to
Good.
your Macintosh days, you said that you had to put up your hand and ask to be involved and, to get to be seen, so to speak. Iman, where you are now, because you're graduating this year, do you find that it's still the same where you feel like you have to be outspoken, or do you find that there is more opportunities that are more visible to students like you?
I feel like now there's definitely a lot more opportunities. Um, yeah, like I feel like also like a lot more like girls in my classes. There's just a lot more like programs at universities, and like I see it all the time on social media as well. Like more people are working towards like this like encouraging STEM education for women and girls. So
Mhm.
yeah, I do see it a lot more now.
In your experience, I remember in a conversation that we had previously, you were talked about how you're one of the few girls in your program in university. And
Hmm.
so when you were in grade school and high school, did you see that same thing and then it kind of tapered down, or were girls still more interested and then, it died off? What was it like for you? What's your opinion on that?
So when I was in middle school and high school, there were not many girls interested at all. Like everyone I talked to when we were choosing like what kind of university programs we would be picking, like nobody was pursuing engineering. Only like I knew like one to two people. And we
Mhm.
also had like a computer engineering course. Again, there was not that many girls. Then when I came into university, like in my classes, there were like now I'm surrounded by like all the people in engineering, and I had online courses in the first year, so I'm not sure how many like male females there were, but when I came in second year, there were not many girls at all, but probably like around like 17 girls from like a huge like lecture hall. It's definitely still not amazing. Like there definitely should be more. Also, I feel like in computer engineering there's less girls, but in other engineering disciplines there are a lot more girls,
Mhm.
like biomedical or chemical. So yeah.
I see. So it was just a few of you from junior high school to high school to even to university. Um, why do you think that is? Like, how can we get more girls, interested? So, like, as a role model, how do you hope to inspire the next generations of female engineers?
hmm I think it's really important to like start from like a young age, like really promote STEM education for girls from a young age, like providing them with STEM programs, resources, um, just because like that's kind of like how we all did as well. Like we were exposed to technology from a very young age. I also think it's important to kind of like um, highlight important female role models in STEM, like highlighting like what they've accomplished, just so that like these girls have like role models and are inspired by like the achievements that have been done by really successful females so far.
Mhm.
Um, and yeah.
That's awesome. Thank you. I think that's all.
Wait, I just to argue with that point a little bit. So I know you said like it's really important to have young girls like get started while you're young.
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
agree with that. That is true and it's quite like beneficial, but I also think like it's never too late to actually start anything, right? If you
Yeah.
want to do something, you can. I think the issue lies is like it's hard to figure out what like there are so many resources on the web to figure out things, right? If you want to get into web dev, you could just figure it out by going on the internet. But the thing is, it's like there's so much of it, you don't know where to start,
Mhm.
right? And I think that is where educators could come in and tell us like the jumping off point into going into something. So yeah, yes, it's important to start young, but I don't think it's impossible to go into
Yeah.
it. In fact, I know it's not impossible because even my manager, and a few people I know started off in arts and theater and then ended up in tech, right? So their background doesn't have tech in it and they were able to learn it. So I mean, that in itself is pretty inspiring. So
Yeah.
it's, yeah, not impossible, can be done. It just is figuring out where to start.
Well, thank you for that. That we got two very inspiring things to walk away with here. Teach the kids, get them exposed from they're young about what the possibilities are. And then no matter what age you are, so even if you were like this grand actress in theater and you decided, but I actually like playing with technology, that you can actually start a career in tech and using your background and your skills from arts. I like that. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so we're down to our last question here. This is phenomenal. I just love the information that you guys are sharing. I think it's going to be so impactful. So looking ahead, what do you envision for the future of women in STEAM, and what steps do you believe are necessary to breaking those barriers to empowering women in STEAM fields? And I'm going to start with Isha. So Isha, what do you envision for the future of women in STEAM?
Um, I think for the future, honestly, I think like a lot more women are starting to become more interested in STEAM. So I'm pretty sure like there'll be a big change because now it won't be as like dominated. So we'll see a lot more like female representation and a lot more unique ideas. Uh, I think what would be cool is just seeing like I think like an example for myself would be I'm really into sewing these days, and that's not something you would ever see like maybe a male do. That's like now a female dominated thing, but being able to see like kind of a blend of those things, like seeing like a female dominated thing like sewing in the tech industry, so like making wearable like fashion or something like that. Like that could be something we could see in the STEAM industry now that more females are into the industry. So yeah, I think it'll just be a whole different change of perspective, which would be cool.
Yeah, definitely. And there are women out there that are doing it. They're bringing their art passion and their
Mhm.
tech skills to life and doing what they love. One example I know is Dr. Merritt Moore. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of her, but she's a quantum physicist and a professional ballerina, right? And she's
Oh,
doing both.
wow.
She programmed a
Yeah.
robot that she could dance with during COVID. So Isha, I
Oh,
could see you being like the fashion designer and, being in tech and coming up with something to infuse the both. It's possible. So which is great.
yeah. I think that would be honestly really awesome.
Nice. Iman and Manur, do you guys have anything that you want to add to envisioning the future of women in STEAM?
I personally just hope there's a lot more women leader. That's what I hope to see. Um, Especially as more women join, hopefully they get promoted. That's where recently I found is kind of lacking. I'm like, yes, the women are starting to come towards STEAM, but I wish there was more in leadership because it's hard to envision yourself as a leader as well if you don't see someone like you there. So that's what I'm hoping for.
Thank you for sharing.
I
Last
think
word.
same with me. Like I see, like I hope to see a lot more women taking on like important roles in STEAM fields, and also like I hope that like, because sometimes I feel like people think arts and tech are very, very separated. So I hope that like people can see that like you can do both and you can combine both things together.
Thank you. Thank you, all of you, for your inspirational stories. I wish you all the best on your journey. Thank you for taking part in this panel discussion where we're breaking barriers and empowering women's STEAM. I want you guys to know that all three of you, that's exactly what you're doing. You're breaking down barriers and you're empowering each other and other women. So my hopes is that whoever does watch this, that they feel inspired to inspire somebody else and including inspiring themselves. Because as Manure said, it doesn't matter what age. It doesn't matter what age, you can do it too. So thank you so much, ladies, for joining. I really appreciate all your stories that you shared with us today. Thank you.
Thank you so much for
Thank you so
having
much.
Yeah.
us.
Yes.
Thank you.